CNN's Zain Verjee has been covering festivities outside the royal residence. Monita Rajpal live with us from Westminster Abbey. Monita, hey, was this a fairy tale wedding in every sense of the word or what?
Well, I'm a bit of a romantic, so yes, I would say it was indeed a fairy tale wedding in every sense of the word. I mean, from the dress, from the ceremony, from the vows to everything. I mean, it was picture perfect, as you were saying. It was absolutely gorgeous, and the crowds here were not disappointed. In fact, they showed such enthusiasm throughout London. The streets of London were lined with the well-wishers and people who just wanted to catch a glimpse of the bride and how beautiful she looked in that gown designed by Alexander McQueen's Sarah Burton. And here we're seeing here images of the bride as she walked down the aisle to see her prince inside Westminster Abbey. Such beautifully shot. All of this was just well done. And of course, she looked absolutely serene in that gown. Now, within the Abbey, about 1,900 guests were invited inside. Outside, thousands watched from the streets surrounding the Abbey, and more than 200,000 people filled Hyde Park to watch on giant screens. And now London Metropolitan Police say all told 1 million people were out on the streets and parks of London, and an estimated 500,000 were in front of Buckingham Palace's famous balcony for those two famous kisses. Zain Verjee has been wading through the crowds outside the palace all morning. Zaini, tell us what's going on. It's still a party scene, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, Monita, it's been great fun today. The crowds just suddenly, a short while ago, let out a really big cheer, and everyone went over to look at the balcony because someone had opened the door and come out on the balcony, but it turned out that it was just the cleanup crew, Monita. Still, everyone's in a really good mood and very enthusiastic. They really had a great time today, and the weather held out as well, Monita. 1.5 million people lining the streets of the city just to see the procession along the route with the bride and groom. It was really quite amazing. So many people from all around the world, all around the country, many of them camping overnight to get the best view possible. And the view of the day was right here at the balcony at Buckingham Palace, where we were treated not just to one kiss, Monita, but an unprecedented 2 kisses. A few people complained a little bit later and said, oh, we wish the kisses were a little more lingering. But I think it's okay. They were very sweet, very affectionate, and I think everyone was thrilled. Monita?
Indeed. Zain, thank you very much. As you were saying, you know, 1 million well-wishers on the wedding route and a larger crowd beyond. We'll take a look at a peek at some of the viewing parties around the world. Also, who needs an invite when you can party on the street? They're kind of lingering here, too, as well, as we can see. We pan over there to see outside Westminster Abbey. There's a bit of a lingering, even though the cleanup crews are taking things out of the Abbey. People are still milling about because at the end of the day, this is a place that continues to make history. 1,000 years of history, and today's event is another date to put in the history books. Certainly a great feel here on the streets of London as people have been celebrating a bank holiday here, another long weekend, and there's a party atmosphere. Well, no doubt there have been many toasts to the bride and groom at celebrations here in London and around the world. And we have to show you one event where it wouldn't have been difficult to keep the champagne on ice. You are looking at a royal wedding viewing party near the North Pole. I want to get to the celebrations here in London, where the party's happening, where street parties are still going on. Atika Shubert has been in the middle of it all and joins us now from East London. Atika, how's it going down there in Shoreditch?
It's fantastic. It's a whole lot of fun. And frankly, if you can't get an invite to the royal wedding, well, the royal wedding street party is the next best thing. We've got, it's really quite a traditional thing. You've got a huge table lined up over here, hundreds of people, and I don't know if you can see all the way to the back there, but there are actually hundreds of more people waiting in line to try and get into this party. It's really pretty amazing. And this is the East End of London, so it's really got a lot of history to it. We've got some incredible live music as well, and they've been playing games all day as well. They had a huge game of Pass the Parcel being done here, and the amazing thing is the costumes. People are getting dressed up all the time. They're dressed up not only as kings and queens, princes and princesses, but they've come dressed in their wedding gowns and basically their best red, white, and blue. So a lot of people here are having fun. As you can see, people dressed up as Prince William, as as Kate Middleton. All kinds of fun being had here. And the thing is, this is going to go all day and into the night, Monita. So there's still a lot more fun to come.
Yeah, the weather certainly cooperated. I think we were expecting rain, but of course that hasn't happened. It's typical British weather. You just never know what you're going to get. But if we know, one of the things that I loved, Atika, when we were out and about today was just seeing how people have come from all over the world, different parts of the world, to celebrate in this event.
Oh, definitely. I mean, even here alone, there's been such a mix of nationalities. We've interviewed one Polish woman. We interviewed 2 guys from Australia dressed up as beef eaters, and a number of. This is an area known for its trendy, hip, younger generation. But we've also interviewed people of the older generation that are here. So it's a real eclectic mix. And I even spoke to one woman who brought her children here, who was there for Princess Diana's wedding, and gave Princess Diana a bouquet of flowers. So she was actually tearing up at the sight of Prince William getting married. Really touched her, and I think that really goes to show the kind of emotion that's invested in this event.
I'm curious to know, Atika, while the ceremony was taking place, was it relatively quiet where you were? Were people really enraptured by what was happening?
They were. You know, there was a big screen up, and actually people were having problems seeing the screen here, so everybody tapped into their iPhones or whatever mobile gadgets they had to see it live, and there were literally gasps when they saw the wedding dress for the first time. They broke out into applause when the kiss happened, and there was a big cheer that went up when the flyby went past, and of course the planes came over here as well. So people were really into this wedding, almost as if they were a part of the wedding themselves, and in a way they are. This is a nationwide celebration, and people here have really taken it to heart.
I love it. All right, Atika, thank you so much. Atika Shubert there reporting to us from one of the parties in East London. Still to come here on Royal Report with so many eyes on the dress. We're talking royal wedding fashion next. We'll be looking at the hits with the Queen impressing once again, but also some bizarre fashion faux pas. You know there's got to be some. CNN's ongoing coverage of the royal wedding. The partying is continuing here in London and undoubtedly other parts of the country and the world as well, as the wedding of the decade, as it's been dubbed, took place earlier today here at Westminster Abbey. This is such a historic part of the city. It's a historic building in itself. It has a 1,000-year-old history, and of course today's wedding just adds to it. Now, Clarence House has just released some pictures of the wedding cake. Let's take a look at this. Let's show you some of the pictures of the wedding cake. There have been 2. Didn't just get a ring from William when they married. She gets a new title and a family coat of arms. She is Kate Middleton no more. Now she is Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cambridge. Her husband, the Duke of Cambridge. It is traditional for royals to receive new titles when they get married, and a dukedom is the highest rank in British peerage, but William also received 2 other titles. He is now the Earl of Strathern, taking on a title that dates back to the 14th century. And he holds the title of Baron, I hope I say this right, Carrickfergus. I hope that's right. These two titles link William to Scotland and Northern Ireland. The couple will also have a new coat of arms created by combining his and her family crest. There's just one problem. The Middletons didn't have a coat of arms, so the College of Arms in London had to create one for them. And here it is. Everything in a coat of arms has a special meaning, and of course, only our Max Foster can explain.
Michael Middleton and his wife Carol have chosen acorns to represent oak trees that are common around their family home.
Explaining the new family's coat of arms. And if you're wondering why there are 3 oak sprigs in this crest, that's one for each of the 3 Middleton children. But of course, we can put the titles aside for now. Let's focus on the fashion. The highlight of the day for many was finally getting to see the bride's wedding dress, and of course it was seen as the fashion's best kept secret, in, I guess, fashion history, I should say. Let's bring in Mickey Boardman now from New York. He's editorial director of Paper Magazine. Mickey, thank you very much for being with us. What did you think?
I thought that the dress looked beautiful. I thought Kate looked amazing, and I think fashion people around the world sighed a big sigh of relief when we found out that it was actually Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen who'd done the dress. She had denied it previous to that. And
with us once again for a look at some of the most memorable moments from this royal wedding. Monita.
Well, Jim, you know, of course, I've got a few of my most memorable moments of this royal wedding. First, seeing the bride go in the Rolls-Royce, in Rolls-Royce 1, as she made her way through the Mall and, of course, down onto Westminster Abbey, and then seeing her again. It's just been an amazing, memorable day. There's been so many little moments that we've been capturing, and, of course, history has been made here in London today. Mark Saunders is our royal watcher. He joins us now from Buckingham Palace. And, Mark, when we look at this event, you know, years and years from now, how do you think this will stand up in history?
Well, I think it really was a fairy tale. It had all the elements, and I think the image of them coming out of Westminster Abbey together was just fabulous. We use the word iconic far too much these days.
They didn't have a seat inside the Abbey, but 200,000 people in Hyde Park still got a great view. The wedding ceremony was broadcast live on several big screens, and a team from CNN was there to watch a crowd caught up in royal wedding fever.
I'm Kieran Chetchery here in Hyde Park, where the celebration continues. The only time it was actually quiet here among the crowd of some 200,000 plus was when the actual ceremony was taking place.
A beautiful royal wedding day indeed, and the day isn't over yet. Jim? Well, this royal wedding was truly a global event, with wedding parties taking place all around the world. Crowds gathered early Friday morning in New York City to watch the marriage of Prince William and Kate Middleton here in London, but also in Kate Middleton's, or I should say the Duchess of Cambridge's hometown of Bucklebury, as well as in at St Andrews, where they met, the university in Scotland, where they first met and laid eyes on each other. So there are parties all over the place. Jim?
You've got to have some parties to go to tonight, too.
I would hope so.
All right, Monita, all right, we're not going to put you on the spot here. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Monita Rajpal there, and she'll be back.
We want to go back to the scene of the first public kiss between the new Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and that's where we find our Zain Verjee joining us live from outside Buckingham Palace. Zain.
Hi there, Monita. The crowds are still here. Earlier today, 1.5 million people were out on the streets. Lining them was Guy Charles Jones. Thank you so much for being with us. What was it like being out there?
It was a fantastic experience and a brilliant day. Yeah.
Just describe it for yourself.
Oh, God, I don't know where to start. And the crowds were absolutely electric. It's a one-off occasion, and it's part of making history. It really is.
Monita, back to you.
Zain, thank you so much for that. And Jim, you know, one thing I have to say, we've been talking so much about Kate Middleton's, or I should say the Duchess of Cambridge's, I'm going to get used to that, the Duchess of Cambridge's wedding dress and what everyone was wearing. But you have to say Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, I should say, looked really dapper and so handsome in his uniform. And that, you know, Zain's guest there just reminded me just how good he looked as well. Yeah,
he looked all right. I really wasn't watching him that much. But she looked fantastic. And it was great. Thank you very much. Monita Rajpal, they're live in London.